Dick next made his final film with G.W. Griffith, which ultimately would go on to be his most famous one and one of the largest parts of his silent film star legacy, the epic 1920s Way Down East. The film, based on the popular 19th century stage melodrama by Lottie Blair Parker, saw Lillian Gish as Anna, a girl tricked into a sham wedding that resulted in an unwed pregnancy and the eventual tragic death of her young child. She meets and catches the eye of rich David Bartlett, played by Dick, but Anna tries to distance herself from him due to her tragic and sinful past. Romantic adventures ensue. In the following clip, you can see the moment when Anna reveals her past and calls out the villain that took her innocence and ruined her life. While Dick has returned to his virtuous hero type of leading man here, this scene was fascinating for a few reasons, particularly the growing intensity of his emotions, particularly beginning in his eyes and body that are just incredible. The rage quietly begins in his eyes and spreads throughout his entire body that begins to shake uncontrollably before it erupts and sends the character into attack mode. I cannot mention Way Down East without talking about the most famous scene of the film, the final scene of the movie, the icy river rescue. Anna, who was thrown into a snowstorm by David's father, who called her a sinful woman, is trapped on moving ice before being rescued by David. Take a As often was the case in several silent films, there were no stunt doubles used. Lillian Gish was actually floating down a real icy river, albeit on wooden rafts, but still, and Dick had to legit rescue her from going over the waterfall. Her hand was in the water, and so was her hair, to make it look more, desperate, which became a classic image for the film, but unfortunately resulted in Lillian having difficulty with her right hand for the rest of her life. Griffith ended up suffering from frostbite on one side of his cheeks. I don't necessarily feel as sorry for him because he made them stand outside and do this scene. However, there was no other way to film a scene like this at that time, so everyone just had to work amazingly hard to complete it. I can't even imagine. And let's not forget to mention that both Lillian and Dick here had to actually risk their lives to film the scene, like legitimately risk their lives on an icy river near a waterfall. If you want to hear some amazing stories about the life-threatening danger in filming many silent films, try to find the Hollywood documentary from the early 1980s. That was about the history of silent film, As was often the case in several silent films, I got mixed up. Anywho, find that documentary from 1980 because it is amazing. And talks about many of the actors that had to perform their own stunts at those times, and talks about how performing stunts was no joke. Way Down East was the biggest money-making blockbuster of 1920 and the fourth highest-grossing silent film in history. The film was also critically acclaimed. Lillian Gish deservedly received raves, with Motion Picture News saying, "Here is a performance the likes of which has never been seen on the stage or the screen." Critics also recognized Dick as a standout among the cast. After parting ways with Griffith and Way Down East, Dick began producing his own films for his own production company. That is all for now. Check back next week with me to learn about the rest of Dick's 1920 silent career and his 1930 successful talkie career. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a lovely rest of your weekend.